I do. We can hear him be talking. All right. Let's see. Make sure I've got my volume on. I do. All right.
How's Donna doing this week, Jay?
Back and forth. It took quite a bit over almost 3 liters of fluid off of her. Um, she feels better from that, but sore from how they did it. You know?
Yeah.
She and I and Dad went to Cooler yesterday and took care of some things. He had not seen Mother's Monument yet, so we did that. And took care of some groceries, some other things we had to take care of. So she was able to do that. She was exhausted though. But she is able to do a little
Or
bit
he
more
was
now.
living up some.
Yeah, they did not. What happened was they put her in the cancer center so she wouldn't have to go to the emergency room to get blood. But something about the antibodies after she's had blood and this, that, and the other, they could not find enough units of blood. So they wound up giving her the one they had, and they found another one. And then they scheduled her after her, I can't ever pronounce it, but after they do the fluid off procedure, they're gonna give her another one, but her hemoglobin was high enough that they didn't do that. So she came on home.
What's her blood type?
Yeah. Yeah, I told her I can
I
give her,
don't know.
I can give her, I can give her blood.
I usually know, but I used to know, but I don't anymore.
Cause I'm the universal donor, so if that's supposed to get blood, I can give you blood.
Something,
Bless you, 'cause I
It's-
can't.
Negative, positive?
I can't remember. I think it's one of the ones that's, well, I wanna say it's fairly common because she,
Hello.
I guess it's fairly common since they said that when they do a transplant, that hers is one of the easiest ones to get a liver for. She is scheduled to go back to Piedmont Thursday. She has to be there Thursday. We don't know what time. They have to call her, talk to her about it, and they're gonna come up with some sort of plan for everything that's wrong with her. So, so I really don't know anything further than that. We'll know more probably tomorrow when they call Piedmont. She talked to her doctor in Atlanta Thursday. He was here while she was having her whatever procedure called. And he's looking forward to seeing her. The reason it's all back on is that he kept calling her doctor here and wanting to fix, everything. So, just out of the clear blue, her doctor at the Center for Digestive and Liver Health called her and said, "You have an appointment and you will come." And so she came, and so then all this started, but she feels a lot better. Some of that fluid's been gone. She's gained so many pounds from just fluid. She can hardly move.
Yeah.
Her legs and feet are swelling up so badly right now. But, that's just the way it is right now. We'll see what they say in Piedmont. She has several things. She has that liver cancer that is not going away, but it's not getting bigger. She has the liver problem, and then she has that huge hernia that's getting worse. And what to fix first and what to fix when and how, I think it all depends on how much of the calcium in the liver becomes available. So, don't really know other than that. As I said, Evan texted me, Charles has hurt his knee somehow, and he's not gonna be here today. And Joe and Kim texted me, they're running late, which means they're all, we all run late, except for Sandy, she's always here ahead of us. But, we all run late. All right, Barry, would you do this for prayer, please?
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come here and worship you. To hear a lesson brought with this hour. We ask you to bless this congregation here and today we work here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, in Matthew 6, there's a paragraph, 19 through 21, that we talked about. It's probably one of the best known passages out of the Sermon on the Mount. Lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, thieves break through and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither of these things happen. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And then the next passage that we're scheduled to talk about, we need to actually talk about verse 24, the paragraph there. For no one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God. And my verse says, well, King James Version says mammon, which is greed, kind of the god of greed. Now, so he's talking about 19 through 21, and this is where your treasure is. You need to decide where your treasure is. And in verse 24, you can't serve two masters. You can't serve God and you can't serve greed at the same time. So now, with that in mind, of what this passage is sandwiched between, look at 22 and 23. The eye is the lamp of the body. So then, if your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. So if the light that is in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? This has absolutely nothing to do with people who are blind. Okay? This has a lot to do with people who are spiritually blind, and that means that they can only see certain things. I would liken this more to color blindness. A friend of mine had to pick up his son at the elementary school a few years ago, and they have a mommy line at every elementary school, and then in Richmond Hill. Have y'all ever been to Richmond Hill and seen the elementary school complex back there? There's 5 schools that are elementary down that 2-lane road, Francis Meeks Loop, the road that goes around. It is the most intricate thing. We've had to go, I don't see how they keep track of it, because they have cones that make you go and zigzag. There's so many mommies dropping off their kids at so many different schools. It's a masterful thing. Anyway, here at our elementary school, they have the same things. They had very little room. Of course, it's all torn down now, but told him to pull up to the green cone. He said, I couldn't tell which one was green. He's colorblind. You know, he's absolutely colorblind. Well, in this case, the light is what you see. Right. Putting that in maybe in some mundane and sort of physical illustrations, the light is what you see. We were talking about this Wednesday night. Joe and Kim were on the computer and they were driving. And so I asked Joe, and this is something that I wish all drivers would understand. You're not out there to wave at the other drivers. You know, you're not out there to look at the Christmas lights, which is my problem, and I wind up in trouble because I look at Christmas lights and that's what they're going to do. If I'm in Charleston or Old Savannah, I wind up looking at the old architecture and stuff, and you don't need to be doing that. In Georgia, we have this law, you can't text and drive. You should be paying attention to your phone during that time either. And folks, I can promise you that is one law that is very, very useful, and you should follow it, because I've tried texting and driving when I first got my phone. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it is. I don't do it anymore. I mean, you can't take, you need to have your eye filled with focus on what when you drive? The road ahead of you. Okay, and the vehicles around you, the signs that said you need to look, and we have so much trouble, and I'm not criticizing drivers, but they're just more susceptible to that. They don't look where they're driving.
If you were a split second distracted, that you can go travel over a good distance if you get distracted.
Our preacher in Daytona had a saying, he's talking about drinking and driving, but it fits here too. He said, when I am guiding that missile down the road, which really is the truth. What is this? The math is that if you hit something at whatever miles per hour, it's the same force for every 10 miles an hour as a one-story building. So if you're going 30 miles an hour and you hit something, it's like driving that car off of a 3-story building. That's a big deal. If you've ever been in a wreck, you can see what kind of damage that it can do. I won't go into all those stories because I've seen a whole bunch of them because I've had to. But when you're driving, let's look at it for a moment. And I think that this illustration of a journey is what Jesus is going to use. Paul's going to use it. Peter's going to use it several times. But let's say you're going on a journey. When I first moved here, I noticed a very peculiar fact because I was working in the school. We must be about halfway between Savannah and Statesboro. Because I noticed that the people in Ellaville went to Savannah when they needed to go somewhere, like to Walmart or the mall or something like that. But I noticed that people in Pembroke would go to Statesboro. So we must be about halfway. Then they overdeveloped Pooler, and now we all go there. But the thing is, must be about halfway. So let's say that you're on your way down 204 here, which is Abercorn. You're on your way to Savannah, wherever you have to go, whether it's the doctors, like we go to Valina, or Walmart, or someplace like that. You just say you're not going to go to Pooler Walmart, you're going to go on Valina, but you go to Savannah. Maybe because they have two of them. So you're headed down there, and you pull out of the parking lot here, and you turn right. What's your goal?
Get Savannah safely.
You can't see Savannah.
No.
So when you turn, what is your goal?
Stay on 204.
Probably that first curve right there, right?
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna go. I mean, you're headed towards that first curve. And then because you can see that. And when you go around it, you have another goal. That's where you need to keep your your eye. And then when you hit that goal, you have another one. And then there are several goals all the way to Savannah. I mean, several short-term goals all the way to Savannah. And as you go, you've got to go through Morgan's Bridge. And there where Jordan's Corners, Morgan's Bridge is, that's kind of a dangerous place. They made it a whole lot less dangerous since they redid the road through there. That used to be a death trap. Then you keep on going, and you keep on going, and then you Fort Argyle you wind up at, and then you wind up at, and then you come into town on that Abercorn extension, and you have all the lights and the traffic and the people coming off of 95. You see what I'm saying? It's a series to get to Savannah of short-term goals, and where you keep your eye, your direction is right ahead of you, and that short-term goal. It's a series of short-term goals that you have to navigate successfully to reach the primary goal, which is getting all the way to Walmart or Publix or wherever you're going. The same is true in life. Every one of us have two things in common. The first is we're not in heaven yet. We're not there yet. The second is we're on our way to get there. Now, how does that affect you and how you live your life? What is, and I don't want anybody to answer this question except to yourself, but what is your short-term goal right now? I mean, Dr. King said it during the Equal Rights Movement. He said this. He says, he was talking about racial equality, it would fit here too. He said, we're not where we want to be, and we're not where we should be. But thank God Almighty, we're not where we were. Well, in the same way, whether we're not where we ought to be or we're not where we should be, or we know we're not where we want to be. But hopefully by now as a Christian, we're not where we were. You cannot simply ride the bus to heaven. That means you get on the bus and just sit there. Folks, I love that idea. Okay, when I'm traveling here, or the train, or the plane. And people say, I'd never fly. I don't know why. You're safer in a plane than you are on the road. And you get there a lot quicker. Plane travel is just as uncomfortable as car travel, I can promise you. But it's over quicker. I mean, if I want to go to no one major hub now is used to all be Atlanta, but it's not anymore. If I want to go to Houston, it takes 2.5 hours. If I want to go to Houston by car, it takes a couple days to get there. So, you're sitting in a plane, uncomfortable for 2.5 hours. You're sitting in a car, uncomfortable for 2 days. So that's, but you can't go by plane, you can't go by train, you can't go to heaven by bus. In other words, you jump on, you jump on, and you just sit there and wait. But that's what a lot of our church people do, isn't it? We breeze through church, we sit, we wait, we go about our lives, and we get to go through church, and go back to church, and we sit there, we're riding the bus to heaven. Y'all do everything. I knew a preacher one time that called that hitchhiker Christianity. In other words, I've never hitchhiked, and I've never picked up a hitchhiker. I was told never to when I started driving. But a hitchhiker, I have asked for a ride from people, okay? But what does a hitchhiker say? You do the driving, you pay for the gas, you buy the insurance, I'm along for the ride. It works for hitchhiking, it doesn't work for Christianity.
Well, the scriptures say, for us to set our minds on things above, not on earthly things. Because we died and our lives are now hidden in Christ and God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you all will appear with him in glory.
Mm-hmm.
So
keep your eyes on that prize. I wish Colin was here right now because he went through something like this. I mean, driving is one thing, but the ultimate control over what direction you're going and and how you're going to get there is walking. I mean, if you're walking by yourself, you get to go now. You just go whichever way you want. You make the decision. You get yourself there. You do all that kind of stuff. And Colin walked across. Where was it, from Maine?
yeah, he walked
All the way to California.
California.
Walked all that way. Wrote a book that I haven't seen, and wrote a journal that I haven't looked at. But we followed him on his journal, and we gave him letters and said if anybody helped him, we didn't know about it, and we'll be happy to reimburse you and stuff like that. But, that's the ultimate thing. You decide where you're going to get it. You decide, I'm going to stop here and rest. Where is here? You decide where it is. It needs to be someplace safe. It needs to be someplace quiet. This is the direction I'm going to take. Well, this road will take me there, or walking across this field will take me there quicker or easier, or this is the way, and this is the way I'm going to get across this river, I'm going to do it. You make the decision. Well, in the same way, as a Christian, each day, each week, whatever it is, we need to keep our eye on maybe this short-term goal. I mean, just for today, remember the sermon a couple weeks ago? Just for today, here's the thing I'm going to do. Okay? You can't do it all in a day, but I'm going to be better today than I was yesterday at this. It might be that you're going to know more. It might be that you're going to find out more about somebody's situation and see how you can help. A lot of times, people are not helped by the church because we don't know they need it. We don't know what their need is. So just for today, I'm going to find out. I'm going to call, or I'm going to email, or I'm going to text message somebody and see how everything is. See what's going on. Just for today, for this day, folks, getting to heaven is a series, a long series of short-term goals. Personal story, and this is one that was told to me by a guy that I trust. He said that there was a man, and I'm not faulting him, I'm not even making fun of him. In fact, there are some statistics made by psychologists about fears. What do you think the greatest fear that most people have is? People say death, that's third.
Growing old.
I know
That's
babies
the same
have
thing.
fear of falling.
Hmm?
I say, I know babies have the fear of falling.
Yeah, that's up there.
Yeah.
That's one of our first fears, but it's not number one.
No.
The number one fear among most people is, this isn't everybody that says this, but there's a lot of people that is speaking in front of a group. Do you know how many people have told me that? It doesn't bother me at all because I've done it so many times. But people have told me that, it did when I first started. But speaking in front of a group, I've spoken in front of groups of 10, 15, 20, 300, 500, 1,000. I mean, it doesn't really bother me at all. But there was a man one time, he was trying to work on this. He was terrified of it. And one of the things he wanted to work on is he wanted to lead in worship. And he wanted to lead a prayer. The first time that he did it, I'm going to have to do this to show you. The first time that he did it, he did like this to the pulpit and rose. He couldn't move. Two men had to come up and pry him away and almost carry him, lead him back to his seat. Today, he openly leads a prayer, volunteers to do so, serves the Lord's Supper. He's even preached a couple of lessons, has led singing when needed. He's not a great singer, but he's led singing when needed. And he's always able to do it. That was his goal. Now, this was a challenge that he presented himself, and the first time he did it, he absolutely failed. There's no other way to look at it. I mean, you can look at it nicely if you want. Nicely is one thing, but he completely failed at doing it. Which is fine. It's great even. Because that failure led to what?
Success.
I mean, it may be that you just need to keep doing it. It may be that you need to keep doing small parts of it. It may be that you need to keep, I never had this problem, but new preachers have trouble baptizing people. And people think, well, it's got to be easy. It's not. It is a very, very difficult thing to do until you know how. It is very, very difficult to do. In fact, anybody I've ever baptized, you can tell them there's nobody here. But I give them a little talk before it happens. I said, this is what's going to happen. And this is when it's going to happen. And this is what I want you to do or you'll drown. Okay? Do y'all remember when you were baptized, that preacher having that talk with you? Hold your wrist. You have a washcloth in his hand, hopefully, is what you're supposed to do. Pinch your nose. Because if you don't pinch your nose, hey Tom, if you don't pinch your nose, that water's going to go up in your nose. You're going to come up spewing and coughing. And then to get them out of that water, there's a way that preacher's got to take the weight of that person. So you better brace yourself, and you got to pull them out back to the back of their neck, and by that arm to keep this rigid the whole time. Now, the point I'm making is this: one young man, his first time doing it, the elders asked that he do it, and I'm glad he did it. The waiters were so big because they don't make waiters that fit any preacher that I know of. They had to, one of the guys had to tie his tie around him to keep him up. He got him under. He splashed him pretty good, and water went up to the ceiling. But he did it. He had to learn how to do it. Everything that you do, I worked for the basketball coach that told kids to do this, said you got to look stupid doing stuff so many times before you look good at it. Well, the thing is, that's the Christian life. You set a short-term goal. I want to improve in this. I want to know more about that. I want to know this. I want to be able to. The problem we have in the church is that so many people want to be leaders in the church and they're not ready to. They don't know enough, and I guess you could always say, well, I don't really ever know as much as I want to know, and you'd be right. But by the same token, you got to start somewhere, and you got to be better. People say, well, I want to preach a sermon one day. Do you start there? No. I wouldn't. I would start with, now some people don't have children. Preacher's sick, preacher's gone, they're all that's left, they have to do it. I knew a guy one time who was baptized one Sunday. The preacher was sick the next Sunday, and he was the only man in the building. He had to lead all the singing, lead all the prayers, do the communion, and preach a lesson. Without even knowing he was supposed to do it.
That's always fun.
It's first Sunday in church, really. He said that wasn't one of my best sermons, but you have to admire the fact that he did it. And by the way, this is just an aside, it has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. If someone wants to criticize those early attempts, those first attempts, you're doing the wrong thing by coming to church. You don't really belong there.
Actually, if they want to criticize it, let them get up and do something better.
Well, they're not going to. That's why they criticize. If someone wants to make fun of those first early attempts at leading singing, leading a prayer, even leading a communion, or preaching a sermon, you're wasting your time going to church because you're not coming for the wrong reasons. Don't criticize other people for not, I've always said, you don't mess with my song leader, whoever it is, because whoever it is doing it, and I'm not having to do it. Okay? When you get some age on you, you realize you can't do both that well. If I have to lead singing, the sermon's going to be a lot shorter. Okay? It's going to have to be. And if I have to lead singing, you're not going to sing more than one verse or maybe two. Songs, you have to have as many. Can't do both.
Careful, Jody, we want you to do singing.
I've been doing it for a long time. I've had to. And I'll be honest with you, I've had to lead singing while there were men in the audience that could have tried to do it. And look straight at me and say, no preacher, you just do everything. I'm going to sit here and be the good Christian I am and not do nothing. And it's every church I've ever been to. Look, you take care of leading everything and doing everything, and I'll just sit back here and I'll handle the nothing I've been doing for years. There's a lot of church people like that. Now, what I'm trying to say is, though, if you want to improve in anything, and we, as Christians, we all need to, I need to improve my Bible knowledge. Okay. Then improve it. Start. I mean, what's the Chinese proverb? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with just one step. Take the step, and then take the next one. And go on through. You ain't going to fix it overnight. Improve. If you're going to improve, there's a professor of mine at RC who was a Baptist transitional pastor. I've never heard of that before. He would be, when your pastor leaves, he would be the pastor temporarily until you hired one. He said, I'd always have a meeting and ask the church, not what kind of preacher they wanted, but what they wanted the church to do. He said, and almost every one of them has said, we want to grow. And almost every time, and this was after he had looked at the history of the congregation and looked at what it had been doing, almost every single time he would tell them this. Why do you say you want to grow? You've never done anything to grow in your entire history. That just is something you want to say. It's something that sounds good. Which is the truth. Which is entirely the truth. A lot of congregations have these lofty goals. But folks, if you're going to do, you're not going to do it overnight. But if you're going to do, find the short-term goal. Find where your eye is headed. He says in the next verse, get your head out of the world. The goals of the world are not where you need to be pointing towards. And yet our churches do it all the time. We start bragging about how much money we have, or how much of this we have, or how many land we have, or I can remember when the churches would advertise on their signs out there that we were air conditioned. You know? That's not what we want. We want to be the people who teach and preach the Bible. We want to be the people that ask Bible questions and give Bible answers. Speak where the Bible speaks, and are silent where the Bible is silent. We want to be a congregation that knows our Bible. Not long ago, someone told me, and they talk about preacher swaps. I've engaged in a whole bunch of them. And how can you do that? You don't trust. How can you trust all these people you don't know to preach to your congregation? It's just very simple. You don't trust them, you trust the congregation. And if you haven't done a good job about leading them down to the Bible knowledge, you don't need to be preaching anyway. You have no purpose there, because that's your entire purpose. And my entire purpose is, as a preacher and as a teacher, is to work myself out of a job. Because there's going to come a time, luckily it doesn't happen for everybody in the congregation at the same time, there's going to come a time you don't need me anymore. You're on your own journey. All right, we're going to stop here and start here Wednesday night. Charles is going to be here today. He hurt his knee.
You getting ready to go check on Donna?
There yet.
We'll talk about that later.
What you got, Ruth? Is
Is he gonna be here, Joe?
Perhaps. Maybe. Don't know for sure. I'm assuming so.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Joe, give that to Donna. I told her I'd train it for her.
Okay.
I told her I'd train it for her.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the worst picture of me there is.
Oh.
Don't be looking at something I don't want to do.
Joe, the worst picture you could have, you're looking here.
I would think it now.
I told her I'd train it for her. Sure. Joseph and Kim, how are y'all doing? Here's some of your excellent work. I thought I had some something, but I didn't have any magnet to put on the back. So if you got some, just take one. That's your Christmas tree. You did such a good job.
Yeah, that's so sweet. That is pretty.
Hey guys, he's.
Hey, Robin, how you doing? Alright. Good?
Better?
Yeah, you have to be, huh? Where's my laptop? Hey, I bring you, hang it in there.
Y'all want you mark number 6 for invitation.
Number 6.
Number 6. So I'm gonna try something different today.
Gotta go to work today?
Yeah, I gotta leave out after church.
We're back on the road again.
On the road again, Chester County on the road again.
Oh, believe me, I can wait. I like to wait.
I thought they were gonna give you a day off.
I just had a couple of days off.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't supposed to, but I got them anyway.
I worked a little bit yesterday.
Kim keeps playing that song for me you wanted me to learn.
Uh-huh.
So far, I'm not doing very good at it.
Which one?
You hadn't asked, I could have told.
You didn't take your ginkgo this morning, Jeff,
I need some kind of memory pill.
or Neuriva?
Very few stable force.
Close the door.
Yeah, he went mine.
Somebody showed on here today.
Yeah, it's called Corvette Kitty, so we need to ride over here.
Lee, you do it in prayer?
I can do closing prayer.
Just switch it. Just switch it.
You take closing prayer.
Ron, how's Mara doing?
She's doing okay.
She's doing all right. She,
If we got a lot of people on both sides of the hill.
Oh, okay, that's fine, I'll get through it.
she can't drive.
We always do.
Yeah, that's the way it works, we always get through it, they all start panicking, they say, why don't you panic? I said, we're gonna get through it. And then
Yeah, we're gonna go see her today and take her out for lunch.
Sometimes.
I got to.
My sister coming, I gotta go. I don't like going. I'm getting very tired of it.
Yeah, I just learned to pace myself like at work. Worked 12 straight days, nothing was like, I'll be this weekend.
I know about them days. Used to work out there at Fort Stewart.
Yeah.
Had their special projects come up,
Lisa,
12 hours a
stay
day,
a while.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
And do it for 3 weeks.
She just,
Yeah.
she just kind of,
Yeah, when you got them, you gotta get off. You're so used to getting up, you get up, take off,
Away.
go to work. So I have to stop. No, you're off.
You're off today. But don't look at all the commercial, open the doors, you weren't been to work, go back.
Mhm. I used to work out at Certainty on that. I was always working double shifts. I was constantly working double shifts. People not showing.
You know her
I
address?
got up one morning, my day off, went all the way to
I
work,
think it's two.
working all day long, and toward the end of the day, my supervisor come up, actually the foreman come up, you know, this is your day off. Why didn't you tell me? Oh, because so-and-so didn't show up, you thought you come in perfect, feel like,
Mhm.
you mind working double?
Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was working 14, I was working, I say, I want to say 14 days a week. I was working 16 hours a day,
Yeah, no,
7 days a week, and I've done that for like 3 weeks.
I went on vacation, they would text me, hey, could you come in? No,
Marissa working
that's why it's called vacation.
Well, I got smart about that. When I go on vacation, they text me, I ignore it.
That's what I did second, I just texted, said, no. I said, I had 184 hours
Vacation,
vacation. And I took 80 out of it, and I got paid for my 104, which they didn't, but I'll take care of that money. But you know what I mean, it's like, how do you amass that much time off? And I said, every time
you
I
don't get no time off.
I didn't get no time. I come out and say, hey, I want to take a Friday and a Monday off on my weekend and go see my nephew and nieces in Florida. We really can't. No, I've got to get away from it.
Well, I just got my vacation, I ain't got my vacation paid for my work. I was supposed to get it on the 11th. I haven't got it yet.
Yeah, that's me, I ain't got mine yet.
Well, I called my dispatcher, how do I go about getting my vacation pay? Does it come automatically, or do I have to put in for, oh, you want your vacation pay? No, I like to work a whole year for free.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I want my vacation. Well, when do you want? As soon as possible.
Possible, ASAP.
ASAP.
So they come back, when do you want to get it? Yesterday.
Last week, you should have given it to me.
No. Well, I haven't got it yet, but it should be on my next paycheck.
Yeah, I've heard that loud before.
No, it's gonna be there, because Tim Dork knows, on this paycheck, payday just passed, because I had very little work, I only worked 2 days.
Building's cold this morning.
My thing
It's a little damp.
Yeah, it's damn, but small buildings are all.
She said,
Probably take care of y'all, hi.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't seen him since
I
he
just go ahead and put
did
it
you see
over
the
to you.
picture
You have
back
to-
there on the bulletin
What
board?
you said, put it in.
He sent me a picture of the letter,
Oh, really?
yeah,
First thing he said,
nice
I'm gonna-
letter
I'm gonna make
and
sure.
everything, his new address and all that.
Then they had a bunch
That
of
move?
bonus.
He's
coming
in,
Billsville,
Billsville or something,
Thanksgiving.
Ohio now. His daddy,
December.
passed away,
Right.
and his mom was left up there, so he said he goes by occasionally to do the yard and see about.
It's not the money, it's like, you tell me you're gonna get
And,
these.
That's it, when they came last year, right now, it is.
Well, it's the money too, but you know what I'm saying.
But yeah, I would say, I
Unless
used
somebody's moved it.
to do that too. Don't tell me you're gonna give me something, me expect it, and it
Oh,
not
I
show.
got the words and music to that old holy
It's
man.
like reimbursement. I should wait like
We were
a
listening
month to
to
get
it.
reimbursed.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, the tax man, the gas man,
It just
electricity man,
brings,
his money on
it
time.
gets
You
you
know
in the
what
right
the
mood,
excuses
you
about.
know? Him, what
I'll
Robert
get home
Ford,
and I get these freezing cold temperatures,
all year
and I
long.
put 2 ounces in.
We learned that
It's
before.
appropriate for
When you're
any time.
supposed to do it, you're supposed to call
Do
maintenance,
that.
and go through maintenance and they'll
It
fix
had
it.
to leave and we didn't know it. And it
I
kept
did
running,
that one
running.
time, I had to get down the hall. It
Aaron
only
tried
took
to
me
fix
2 hours to
it,
get down the hall.
but he wasn't able to fix it.
Is it worth waiting down 2 hours to
But
go all I have?
we got it all taken care of. Got an heating and air, bunch of money, but we got it.
Here's receipt, reimbursement.
Did you get a deal? Doing that 3 years ago. Did you get a deal? About 5,000.
I bought a fuel extra.
That's
Why you buy a
reasonable.
fuel extra? Because you know, it's getting down to 20 degrees outside, the fuel starts gelling up at 32. Now, you want the fuel up here gelled up, so you can have records come out and tow me in, and pay all the big hot bill, get it fixed up, and buy me a hotel room while I'm waiting for this thing to get heated up. Or would you have me go ahead and pay for fuel extra?
Like last
Yeah.
Or you know, you go to the maintenance, get
No,
it,
no,
be gelled up before maintenance gets started.
It's just cheaper, like you said.
Oh, you got
Yeah.
Use it for driving.
All the time. I share them. I can't do
It's not
without.
about cheap, it's just I'm thinking way ahead of the game.
Yeah, I'm not cheap, I don't try to be cheap. I try to watch out for myself.
Me too.
Right. I
And, you
get
know,
it,
the way I look at it, if the truck goes down, I'm down.
down, oh,
If the
yeah.
truck ain't making money, I'm not making
I
money.
gave you some.
And if the truck's broke
I
down,
had to go get two.
I'm
I had to
waiting
share.
to get to
Oh,
the
okay.
truck. All my food and everything's in the truck, I can't take all that with me.
Oh, yeah, I get it, yeah.
You know, it's too much aggravation involved, way too much aggravation.
Oh, I get it, trust me.
I don't know.
I didn't cover everything without it.
You got your stuff?
I mean,
I'll make sure you brought it all up to me.
I'll tell you something interesting. You got these COVID shots now, right? There's one doctor said he's been messing with COVID patients for 10 months, high risk area. Never got it. He got the COVID shot, and guess what happened? He got the COVID. Had some nurse, woman nurse, exact same thing. Got the COVID shot, and she got it.
It was the heat.
The nurse was a he,
Yes,
both of them were, huh?
yes.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So ain't that amazing? You get the shot and you get the disease. Now, what is the shot? The shot is the disease that they shoot in your body so your body
Yeah,
can
I
fight
don't know if it's a
off.
live virus or it's a synthetic virus.
That's how they have to do it with any, right?
I think so.
They have to give you just a touch to make you
Right,
fight.
yeah, so like giving you just enough for your body,
Measles.
the antibodies to start reacting and build up an immunity.
Every year I used to get a flu shot when I was in the military. Every year I got the flu. But when I quit getting the flu
Better
shot,
than
I
pneumonia.
had
You must be
But I used to
allergic
get, my mom, she took the pneumonia shot, especially the last 5 years. She's
I'm incubated in raw eggs. I tried
I
to
will not
explain
take
this to my
them,
sister.
they're not gonna break down any no more.
And she said, will you eat eggs? I said, when you cook an egg, you change the nature of the protein,
Oh.
you know? Well, I don't get it. She's gone. I said, I just can't take flu shots.
I've had pneumonia so many times.
I just leave it at that.
I love eggs. I try to eat a lot of eggs.
Yeah, but you cook them, right? You don't break them in chunks.
I tried that one time before, I could not stomach it. It went down, it come right back
Right.
up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I tried to explain to her,
My
they used to
grandson
incubate
Fixes,
the,
I started saying cardboard tree, but it
Mhm.
went out of plywood.
inside, they take the chick, you know, and then they
Yeah,
extract it. Now, how they do
Running
that, I
through
don't
my
know.
head and out
I was
the
trying to explain that.
I know.
So when you eat eggs all the time, I said, they want to.
Unless it's snowflakes up, I said, we can probably get.
Yeah, I cooked the eggs, I killed the virus.
Pretty much.
While it's cold.
I won't
Yeah,
look at the
hopefully.
cans, but I
I
can
don't know.
eat
In Georgia,
I can't eat a pecan pie, I can tear some pecans up.
I said,
See, if I eat pecans, my mouth is literally go numb.
You know what I mean?
But I was talking to my allergy
Wow.
specialist, I just figured it out, when you cook
Wow.
the pecans, you change the molecular structure of the protein.
Where's my else of that?
I'm in bed.
I said, my grandma Black, we used to make a great pecan pie, choose that dark
Was she
syrup,
working?
syrup. I don't know where my daddy
She
gets
been off.
it. He
I
likes,
think
he
she-
don't like it dark. He
She
likes
just tired, she
it
overdone
light.
Over.
Carrots.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him, I said, man,
Staying up
that's just
too
like
late.
mama used to do it. I wouldn't tell him that, but you know what I mean?
She been
It's
on playing
not
games and
sweet.
stuff.
No.
But he said, I don't like that dark syrup, mama. Like, but it's just funny to
I
me.
stayed up
It's
one
like,
night till
I
about
can't eat them raw, but I can eat them cooked.
12:05.
That's right, me and Tom. I can eat them raw. If you cook them, I cannot stomach.
Yeah, that's just weird, 'cause I'm the opposite.
That's okay.
I can go out in the field,
And picking
pull up
the
turnip greens, I knock, dirt off, wash them, throw a little salt on them and chop down.
Oh,
I
yeah, I
can
like,
eat green off of them.
yeah, my grandfather liked to say that we go out there and pull turnips and root, not root, turnips, peel them and eat them. They're good like that.
I can eat them raw, I cannot eat them cooked. I just don't agree with it.
That's weird, because I'm not.
Now, my daddy's off, my daddy eats them cooked, loves them cooked. Okra, I cannot, I don't like okra no matter what.
Oh, yeah, oh, I love the okra.
My dad used to get me up early in the morning, go out there and cut me some okra.
Y'all don't know how to fix that.
Always sent me out to cut them.
That's probably what it was, that association.
I didn't bother me going out there. I used to cut the white ones, the tender ones,
Yeah, well,
I got some to go.
yeah, get them about that long. My brothers walk back, and they go out there and get them over that long. That's he said, it's just too tough. Joe, you go get over it. You know, all the time, wake me up. What they bring is good for seeds. When you open them up, stick seeds.
Yeah, seed pod, remember my grandfather did
You
that.
can't do nothing with them.
He'd cut them, and when he got, like you said, the real big ones, he'd keep those and split them and pull the seeds out.
Replant them.
And replant. Oh, yeah, I didn't mind cutting those. I didn't cut it, I was doing holding, you know, what do you call it? 5-gallon bucket.
See, it never bothered me to cut them. That's like carrots, okay? I cannot stand carrots, be cooked, anything I eat. It, to me, it's got a nasty taste. I can take a raw carrot, eat it. I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah, I can eat it raw.
I can eat a raw carrot. You cook it, I can't stomach it.
It's the baby carrots, you see the little,
Yeah, the little ones, about that long, and about as big around as your finger.
finger, I like the baby carrots, if you cook them right.
I don't like none. You throw a carrot inside of my food, and you just want the whole food. That's like you throw the okra inside the food, you want the whole
I
food.
love it, okra.
Oh, yeah, you know, it has some good.
Most normal people do.
Fried okra.
I saw something really wrong with this. Something else. Somebody put it in. I was like,
Baker's milk,
no, something else, I can't think. I think it's like spice pickled okra. Like, I know, I've seen
I've seen that before,
I
yeah.
never had it.
I don't plan on having it, you put in the jar.
You can eat right here, baby.
Pretty
Or you
spicy.
can mix it.
Yeah, well, if I'm able to, I might be up helping him. So you might want to hold on to it. I have to wait and find out what I'm going to do. I don't really know yet.
She didn't see, she didn't do it.
So you got
You
your,
got your chair.
you sit
Like,
I've already marked you. Your first song will be 2:35, in case you want to know.
And Granny wore her nice sweater, yeah.
She looks like.
She's in our
Well,
2:35 on the first song or something.
it's the base is
So think about that. Number 6, number 7. Seven being, be a little something, something like that. 1 is.
legs like this, and the other one she wore was round.
I really bad. I'm gonna get started working here
Put it
again.
together now. Great, I'm happy.
Not too heavy, not too light. They kind of heavy, yeah.
Like it's cold.
The other one I wore the other night, I got from Alabama, it's old and.
Morning again.
Good morning, done the trick.
She's here. She's in the nursery. She had one.
Oh, okay.
She's scared to death of catching it on top of everything else.
Let me just lay back.
There's the readout.
Okay.
It's exciting reading, you're to read it. We're in the negative.
Again?
Yay! We did our job good.
See, Joe went off with my hand, really.
You need one?
This one may work. Yeah, this one works.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't too bad taking the stuff down yesterday.
Thank you, thank you.
I left the snowflakes.
That's okay, we don't mind,
What, don't mind what?
we don't mind, well, we don't mind.
I figured everybody else was gonna take it down, so I figured I better do it while I had a chance.
If you want to take ours down, you're more welcome.
Oh, dude, I'm good.
I've probably got the cleanest hands in this country. I bet I've washed them 100 times this morning. Maybe not 100, figuratively speaking, but I wash my hands a whole lot today.
I think they're doing.
All right, you want to answer that?
You need alcohol too?
Absolutely.
I made the alcohol for you today is really strong.
We keep these in the truck.
Uh-huh.
Cold shower. I just have all kinds of stuff.
Oh, the wipes that you'll need to go in the shower with?
Yeah,
The hospital gives us a bunch of those.
yeah,
They come in very handy,
Well, yeah.
especially when you get diesel fuel down there.
yeah, diesel fuel, yeah.
How's her wrist doing? She was back to the job Friday.
Good, I don't see.
They do see it. That's all the way with your hands.
Oh, you only got half my body here.
Just got a whole thing.
Huh?
Yes,
I
you
said,
do.
I'm sure he'll release her. Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's something
So she
else.
better not be escaping from her husband. She said, I thought,
We just did that
maybe
button
got
twice.
hurt back on all this.
Not yet. You hit the middle button.
You know how
Gotta
that-
wait till that comes up.
Said she wasn't getting on another, nothing.
I was gonna get my hair cut this weekend,
Well, Dad's not gonna be here.
but I figured that out. Found out my nephew come down and found he tested positive for COVID. He spent time with my son, so we stayed away from everybody.
Keep the goodies to yourself.
About it. Keep the cooties to yourself.
That's what I call it in school, the Corona cooties. Wear your mask.
Good morning, welcome to the Church of Christ here in Old Bell, Georgia. Who's having night part in this morning's services? Brother Barry will do opening prayer. I'll be your song leader. Brother Barry will do communion, and I will assist him. And dismissal service by Brother Wade. Would open your songbooks up, number 235 for our first song. 235. I have found a friend in Jesus, he's everything to me. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. The lily of the valley, in him alone I see. All I need to cleanse and make me fully whole. In sorrow he's my comfort, in trouble he's my strength. He tells me every care on him to roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. Oh, he all my griefs has taken, and all my sorrows borne. In temptation he's my strong and mighty tower. I have all for him forsaken, and all my idols torn from my heart, and now he keeps me by his power. Though all the world forsake me, and Satan tempt me sore, through Jesus I shall safely reach the goal. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. He will never, never leave me, nor yet forsake me here, while I live by faith and do his blessed will. Oh, all afar about me, I've nothing now to fear. With his hand my hungry soul shall fill. Then sweeping up to glory to see his blessed face, where rivers of delight shall ever roll. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. For opening prayer, let's turn to sing number 295. 295. Each day I'll do a golden deed by helping those who are in need. My life on earth is but a span, and so I'll do the best I can.
Life's evening sun,
is
sinking low, a few more days,
and I must go to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun. To be a child of God each day, my light must shine along the way. I'll sing his praise while ages roll, and strive to help some troubled soul.
Life's evening sun,
is
sinking low, a few more days,
and I must go to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun. The only light that will endure is one that's kind and good and pure. And so for God, I'll take my stand. Each day I'll lend a helping hand.
Life's evening sun
Is
sinking low.
A few more days, and I must go to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun. I'll help someone in time of need and journey on with rapture's speed. I'll help the sick and poor and weak, and words of kindness to them speak.
Life's evening sun
Is
sinking low.
sinking low.
A few more days,
and I must go to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun, while going down life's weary road. I'll try to lift some traveler's load. I'll try to turn the night to day. Make flowers bloom along the way.
Life's evening sun
Is
sinking low.
A
few more
days, and I must go to meet the deed that I have done, where there will be no setting sun.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to come here, to sing songs, to worship you. We ask you to bless this congregation and all the work they do here. We ask you to bless the families that come here also, to watch after the sick and part of this congregation. We ask this all in your holy and God name. Amen.
Before we take the Lord's Supper, let's turn to scene number 1A. 1A. We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. He chastens and hastens His will to make known. The wicked oppressing, cease him from distressing. Sing praises to His name. He forgets not His own. Beside us to guide us, our God with us joining, ordaining, maintaining His kingdom divine. So from the beginning, the fight we were winning. Thou, Lord, were our side, the glory be thine. We all do adore Thee, Thou leader in battle, and pray that Thou still our defender will be. Let Thy congregation escape tribulation, Thy name we ever pray. Oh Lord, make us free.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we ask you to bless this bread, symbol of your body that was crucified on the cross. We ask you that we do it in a manner that's pleasing and well in thy sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we ask you to bless this fruit of the vine that represents the blood shed for our sins. We ask you to keep us mindful of this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Before giving the remains, let's turn and sing number 276. 276. O land of rest, for thee I sigh, when will the moment come when I shall lay my armor by and dwell in peace at home? We'll work till Jesus comes, we'll work till Jesus comes, we'll work till Jesus comes, and we'll be gathered home. To Jesus Christ I fled for rest, he bade me cease to roam, and lean for succor on his breast till he conduct me home. We'll work till Jesus comes, we'll work till Jesus comes, we'll work till Jesus and will be gathered home. I sought at once my Savior's side no more. My steps shall roam. With him I'll break death's chilling tide and reach my heavenly home. We'll work till Jesus comes. We'll work till Jesus comes. We'll work till Jesus comes, and we'll be gathered home.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we ask you to bless this moment that we receive today. We bless the work of your congregation. We ask this in your holy and devout name. Amen.
Y'all would mark number 6 for Song of Invitation. Number 6. And before our lesson, let's turn and sing number 241. 241. There were 99 that safely lay in the shelter of the fold, but one was out on the hills away, far off from the gates of gold. Away on the mountains wild and bare, away from the tender shepherd's care, away from the tender shepherd's care. Lord, thou hast heard thy 99, are they not enough for thee? But the shepherd made answer, this of mine has wandered away from me. And although the road be rough and steep, I go to the desert to find my sheep. I go to the desert to find my sheep. But none of the ransomed ever knew how deep were the waters crossed, nor how dark was the night that the Lord passed through, ere he found his sheep that was lost. Out in the desert he heard his cry, sick and helpless and ready to die. Sick and helpless and ready to die. Lord, whence are the blood drops all the way that mark out the mountain's track? They were shed for one who had gone astray, ere the shepherd could bring him back. Lord, whence are the hands so rent and torn? They're pierced tonight by many a thorn. lips to die by many a thorn. But all through the mountains thunder ripped, and up from the rocky sea, there arose the black cry to the gate of heaven, rejoice, I found my sheep. And the angels echoed around the throne, rejoice, for the Lord brings back his own. Rejoice, for the Lord brings back his own.
Good morning. Welcome you to the church services this morning, but also welcoming you to the first services of 2021. All of you present here this morning have 100% attendance for 2021. 100%. You'll learn it in the third grade. It's a new beginning. I know it's just numbers. And I know it's just a month. And I am not advocating resolutions, because all of those are broken. They say by March. I never made it with a resolution past January. And usually it's in the single digits of January when I've done it. So I'm not recommending those things. I do, however, every Sunday in these sermons, I do recommend a change. And I do recommend that each of us who need to make a change, make a change. Because we need to. So for this coming new year, and not only this coming new year, but each and every day of our lives, what do I want to look at? Which is our topic. Look at our relationship with God Almighty. Each and every day, we should be looking closer and closer, and we should be getting closer and closer to God. There's Bible for this in 1 John 2, beginning with verse 1. My little children, these things are right to you, so that you may not sin. And if anyone sins, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. And he himself is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the whole world. Now by this we know him, if we keep his commandments. He who says, I know him, and does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, truly the love of God is perfected in him. By this we know we are in him. In him appears in here several times. So what are we supposed to do? Making sure that we are in him. That means that you and I walk closely with him. We take our steps in this world. Now, I understand this, and I understand what the churches have used and the preachers have used about this. Oh, well, keep his commandments, go to hell, all this kind of stuff. That's not what Christ's commandments are all about. Christ's commandments are about helping you. They're not about helping him. They're not about helping God. Christ's commandments are all about helping you. Now, I know that people have, and misguided and perhaps even malicious people have used this idea to say, you do what I say, you do what I'm going to tell you, and if you don't, this is the only way to heaven. That's not what it says. You do what Jesus says. Jesus said also, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, Matthew 22:37. Jesus is actually, that's done even today, he is actually quoting Deuteronomy 6. This is the Shema. Now the word, Hebrew does this. They name everything by the first word. Genesis means to us beginning, that's exactly what it says. It's called the Bereshith in Hebrew, which means in the beginning. Well, in this case, it is called the Shema because the prayer begins with Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord, He is one. And then it goes, and I won't say all this in Hebrew because I haven't memorized it, but then it goes on to say this: you shall love the Lord your God with all your whole, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. Now, that is the beginning. That is the beginning. You shall love the Lord your God. Now, how in the world am I going to get in a closer relationship with knowing God? You shall love God. All right. Pretty simple. Loving God, got that down. That's it. How do we do that? John 14 and verse 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. And again, I want to reiterate the fact that Jesus' commandments are not made for him. They're made for you. They're made to help you to get a home in heaven, certainly, but to have a better time and an easier way to get there here on earth, certainly so as well. If you love me, keep my commandments. Folks, this is the reason why you should clutch that Bible all the way through your life, is because that's where they're found. And this is not something designed to limit you. It's not something designed to harass you. It's not something designed to keep you under his thumb and to keep control over you. These commandments are to help you. So your love for him, your love for God, your love for Christ, your love for the church, keeping the commandments of God, keeping the commandments of Christ, these things are for your benefit. The other thing I want to talk about is deepen this as well. Deepen your love for God. Deepen your love for his commandments. But also deepen and make closer your friendship with God. God is somebody we want to be around. God is somebody we want to walk with us. Folks, in almost every situation, in fact, I'm going to say in every situation, I'll just say almost because maybe there's an exception. If we have a job to do, it's better, more pleasant, and easier to do with a friend. You have a job to do. You have a job to do to go through this life and to get to heaven. That journey is easier, more pleasant, and better to do with a friend. And the best friend that you could ever have is Jesus Christ. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing, but I've called you friends. For all things that I've heard from my Father, I have made known to you. What does that mean? What is friendship with God? What is friendship with Christ? Why do I even have to tell you? There are people in this life, and I have found very few, but there are people in this life that you can term as friends. The same qualities that make them your friends makes you a friend to Christ. So often we look at Jesus Christ as being our friend and providing for us and looking out for us the same way a friend does here on earth. But we also need to look at it as us being a friend to him. Keeping our commands, keeping his commands, keeping the commands of Christ, keeping with him and journeying with him. And you notice in each and every one of these illustrations, I've chosen them specifically. Of course, I swiped them off the internet, but I've chosen them specifically. This all involves this close physical relationship with Christ. As you walk, you walk with him. Where there's some places I go that I don't want Jesus to see, then don't go there. If there's anywhere that you walk in this life, and that's physically or figuratively, and you can't take Jesus, your friend, with you, don't go there. You don't need to be there. Deepen that friendship with Christ. Deepen that friendship with Jesus. Why? Because you're part of God's family. For this reason, I bow my knees to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, from whom the whole family is in heaven and earth is named. You know, so many, and we've closed out the holiday season. I can remember when I was younger, looking forward to the holidays. And the reason why is because our family and my mother's sister's family would get together for every Thanksgiving and every Christmas. Well, all the adults, two have passed, two are in their 80s, and all of us kids are in our 50s. We just don't do it anymore. And because of recent situations, many family gatherings were postponed until next year. This is the family of God. This is the family of God. We come together, we worship him, and we emphasize that. But you know, we also come together as a church family. We come together for worship services, for Bible studies, for Super Sundays, for New Year's Eve get-togethers. You know something? I'm just going to go ahead and complain. This congregation used to be one that loved to be together. I'm sad to say that's not true anymore. Every time we have something, people start falling all themselves, finding excuses not to come. We used to be congregations that were together, a congregation that was together all the time. I'm sorry to say that's not true anymore. And why isn't it? Aren't we still the family of God? Don't we still look forward to being with each other as the family of God? You know, I can remember having a cookout on Saturday and not having enough room to fit people in our social hall. Well, now they're talking about social distancing. We don't have any trouble with that. You can be 6 feet away from everybody else if you want to. And that's sad. I wish we had that problem. I wish we had to move people into classrooms or something because we had so many people. We are a part of God's family. We should look forward to being a part of God's family. In John 1 and verse 12, but as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name. In 2 Corinthians 6, beginning with verse 17, I will dwell in them and walk among them. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. Do not touch what is unclean, and I will receive you. I will be a father to you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. You shall be my sons and daughters. You know, one of the earliest memories I have as a child, my uncle, my mother's oldest brother, and therefore considered the family patriarch in more ways than he probably should have, but he's passed from his life now. He would organize a family reunion. Mother comes from a family of 9 children. We went to, I'm sure Joe and Ken have seen it, the rest of y'all probably haven't, there's a state park in Mississippi called Waldoxie State Park in Holly Springs, Mississippi. It had this huge big building that could be had for cheap, and each and every family member paid based on how much they had for the dinner that wasn't all that great. But this was the time that we all looked forward to. All of us children looked forward to it. We all went. You know why? Because it was our family. We haven't seen them. Many times you see them maybe 2-3 times a year. Some of them more than that, but most of them 2 or 3 times a year. And then, many times, you know, we would find ways we all would go. The Kramers and the Holloways would all go 2 or 3 times a year to Sullivan, Alabama. If you've never heard about it, nobody else has to. A little place in Alabama where most of mother's family was, and we would spend the night at every different relative's house. Almost like you probably just got back from doing, you know. Every different relative's had. Oh, we kids had a blast. They had something we never had in Florida, which was basements. And in basements, they made kids' rooms with ping pong tables and pool tables and stuff that I never even seen. We had more fun, you know. And they would come to our house, and we'd go to the beach because they don't have no beach in Alabama. Not at least not where they're from. Just had a whole bunch of hills and zoo. You know, it was great to be with your family. I can remember doing the wedding of one of my second cousins. I was standing in the driveway, and my family it was an outdoor wedding and an outdoor reception. In Alabama, you can do that. You can do it in the summer in Southeast Georgia because it's no milk. But me and another cousin, husband, and I'd known all my life. We were standing together, all alone, and watching. That goes down in history as being one of my happiest moments on the face of this earth. Because we were watching. There was my cousin Cynthia, still alive. It was her home, so she was trying to attend to all the guests and doing not a great job. My cousin Richard, who's passed away from pancreatic cancer now, was his house as well. And he was enjoying, the way Richard always did, enjoying everything, usually at somebody else's expense. The married couple, all of my other aunts and uncles and cousins. And I looked over at my cousin-in-law, I guess he is. And he said, you know, this is one of the best moments of my life. I said, yeah, it is mine too. You know, family's where you go. In good families, it's where you go and you're always welcome. No matter if you've argued the last time, no matter if you fought the last time, you're always welcome. You and I have a better responsibility. Earthly families are not perfect. We're a part of God's family. And all that stuff that we look at in Revelation about the folks gathered around the throne, you know what that is? That's a family reunion. It's a family reunion. We're part of God's family. Although we do make excuses not to see them. The other thing, to deepen fellowship with God. And that's a very often used word and a very often misunderstood one. Usually when I say fellowship, people have in mind of sitting in a church building eating something. I think that's an expression of fellowship, but there's more to it than that. Let's look what the Bible says, first of all. 1 John 1 and verse 3, that which we have seen and heard declare to you, that you also may have fellowship with us. And truly our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son, Jesus Christ. Well, as much as we may love God, as much as we may love Jesus Christ, we've never actually eaten with him. So it has more to do with that. The fellowship that we are to have with each other could not be closer because we need to make it closer. What is fellowship? Fellowship is not sitting down and eating. Fellowship is not everybody bring a covered dish. Fellowship is a recognition. A recognition on the fact that I am on a journey. And also a recognition of the fact that you are on a journey. And that we're going to take this journey together. Because we're headed for the same place. We're headed the same direction. And we're headed the same place. And the cool thing about that is that we are headed for the same place. And so we go through the same things together. We're always going to be together. You see, when people say, and I hope they mean it, because sometimes it seems like they don't, but when they come into a congregation or a meeting place and they say, I'm looking for a church home, that's exactly what they're looking for. Is a home. Is a place where we belong. And a place that welcomes us. And that we welcome all who are there. And that everybody there we belong to and they belong to us. That's what church means. The very word church means that in Greek and in Hebrew. You belong. Faults, successes, failures, whatever it is, you belong. Then, the relationship with the bondservant. But you do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, the Christ, and you are all brethren. Do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your Father, he who is in heaven. And do not be called teachers, for one is your teacher, the Christ. God's in charge. God's in charge. Christ is in charge. If somebody asks you, and they will, if you ever talk to them about where you go to church, or talk to them about worship services or things like that, well, and they're going to ask honestly because they're used to this, who's in charge there? Don't you dare say Joe Holloway. All right? Do not ever mention my name, because I will tell them you're wrong. I'm not. Who's in charge? Well, they have this business meeting, and they're not in charge either. Christ is the head of the church. We are all bondservants of him. And folks, for this is the will of God, that by doing good you may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free, yet not using liberty as a cloak for vice, but as bondservants of God. Years ago, I had a truly great boss. I have a pretty good one now. But I had a truly great boss. You know how I knew? Everyone. Now, he was good at it. We all got in trouble from time to time. But you look at him and say, I'm sorry, and I'll try to do better. He said, yeah, I bet you will. And that's the first thing. But you know something? We all look forward to going to work. Every one of us. We loved it. We all look forward to going to work. And on the day contracts came out, we all signed them immediately and gave them right back to him. Then he quit. That year, after 1 year. But I tell you what, if someone on this earth is good at this, you don't ever want to let them go. Same is true in the church. Why am I not the boss? Why are not some of the men bosses? Why? Folks, they're leaders in the church. Hopefully one day people will consider me one of those. Folks, leaders are not people in the back that shout things for you to do. Leaders are the people out in front doing stuff that you follow. You lead from out in front. You taught me that? General Eisenhower, the supreme commander of all Allied forces in Europe. He gathered all his generals, and folks, if you've done any study of history and knew the generals that were under Eisenhower's command, folks, there was, as much as I respect him, there was George Patton, who considered himself sometimes a little bit lower than God. Then there was Montgomery of England, who was the same as Patton. He gathered all these generals together, and he put a piece of string in the middle of the table. And he said, I challenge each and every one of you to push that piece of string. Go home and try it. You can't do it. The only way you're ever going to move a piece of string is if you grasp one end and pull it. If you're going to lead people, you got to do it by pulling them, and you can only pull them from out in front. Jesus does that. Jesus has been through everything that we have ever been through. Jesus is the one who is a great boss, a great leader, a great commander. And those in a relationship, they know one another. Nevertheless, the solid foundation of God stands, having this seal. The Lord knows those who are his, and let everyone who names the name of Christ depart from iniquity. Not everyone, listen to what he says here. You've heard this 100 times or more. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done wonders in your name? That's the part we usually talk about. You know, many people are wrong and do very churchy kind of religious sort of things. That's all well and good for another sermon. But look at what he says now. And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. I never knew you. I never knew you. There was one professor that he was in the 1800s, and he bragged to his students. Later in the semester, Walt Whitman, a close personal friend of mine, is going to come and speak to you. Well, folks, if y'all anything about literature, if you ever could speak to Walt Whitman, you can't now because he's dead. But I mean, Walt Whitman was one of the greatest authors of the United States. But everybody was so impressed by this professor having a close personal relationship with Walt Whitman. So they listened to him. When Walt Whitman came, it became obvious he'd never met this guy. Bragged about he had a relationship with Walt Whitman, but he never did. He never knew him. See, real people in a relationship have a knowledge of each other. They know who they are. This has happened so many times. I've been doing it so many years, but children will come up to me at the Dollar General especially, or Harvey's, or even at Walmart cooler, and they'll say, Dr. Holloway, you remember me? I was your favorite student. They'll keep going and keep going, and I don't want to say it, but I finally have to tell them, son, I'm sorry, but I have no idea who you are. Was he my favorite student? No, because I didn't know him. But I can tell you this, God knows you. Christ knows you. And you and I should know Christ. So what should we do? And looking at all of these qualities, how is your relationship with God? Are you in a right relationship with Him? And the answer to the first one is not as good as it could be. And the answer to the second one is I'm on my way to being that. Because we need to remember, and we need to, at the first Sunday of this new year, and really every time we even think about it, we need to look at making even closer our relationship with God, making closer our relationship with Christ, and making closer our relationship with His church. And making much, much closer our relationship with His Word. Become closer with Christ. Become closer with Jesus. Become closer with God. Deepen that relationship that you have. Is that all you have to do? Pretty much. Because everything else will just about take care of itself, right? Everything else will take care of itself. Know who God is. Know who Christ is. So, are you looking to begin that relationship or to come back to that relationship? You can. Just together we stand and as we sing.
Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere He leads me in this world below. Anywhere without Him, dearest joys would fade. Anywhere with Jesus I am not afraid. Anywhere, fear I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere with Jesus I am not alone. Others' friends may fail me, He is still my own. Though with Him they lead me o'er freest ways. Anywhere with Jesus is a house of praise. Anywhere, fear I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere with Jesus over land and sea. Telling souls in darkness of salvation free. Ready as He summons me to go or stay. Anywhere with Jesus when He points the way. Anywhere, fear I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go. Anywhere with Jesus I can go to sleep. When the darkness shadows round about me creep. Knowing I shall waken never more to roam. Anywhere with Jesus will be home, sweet home. Anywhere, fear I cannot know. Anywhere with Jesus I can safely go.
Let's bow. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and thank you for this fine lesson. Those are all sick, Lord, and pray for the Elson family and pray for Jennifer and Robin's family. Stephen, as the coronavirus, Lord, and bless everybody here today and take this lesson today and hope we don't straddle the fence too much, Lord. And in Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
All right. A couple of things we need to talk about. Donna's got to go to Atlanta. on Thursday, go to Piedmont and find out, and we don't really know, there's no point in asking, exactly what the future holds for her, the things they gotta take care of, but she feels, and I feel, and her doctors in Savannah feel, that the people in Piedmont can probably do a better job than we can here in Savannah of deciding how to treat all the things that are wrong with her. She's having problems right now with this retaining of fluid. I was telling Sunday school, and she sent me a picture of it after they did it, and I wasn't very hungry, but they drew over 2 liters of fluid off of her, this past week, Thursday. The good news is she got 2 units of blood on Wednesday, and they were gonna schedule her for, they said, we're gonna give you another one in the emergency room, so I'll just go home, I'll be back here tomorrow anyway. So they're gonna do it next day, but they decided not to, because her hemoglobin come up so much, still very low, but she seems to be maintaining, and maybe it's growing a little bit, so
Yes.
that's good news. But she's got to go back to Atlanta Thursday. And she'll be there, we don't know how long. Thursday. So be in prayer for her, for our situation as well. Another thing is Barbara Stocking is listening this morning on YouTube. She texted me. So everybody wave.
Hey.
It's been a while since she's been here. She's still in Missouri. And let's see, Evan texted me this morning. Charles hurt his knee somehow and is not able to be here with us. That's where he is this morning.
Where is he this morning? I know he's not here.
Home.
With his knee.
Can't, well, I mean, people think it's knee, but your knee, you can't walk, so.
It's not very.
Knee or ankle, either one.
Coming to church, I don't think you can go to an easier place to come to church. If you physically can't show up, there's all kinds of ways you have of going to church. Anybody with a cell phone can do it. I mean, so, not saying that people aren't, but that's up to you. You can actually go by this way, which actually nobody's here anymore except for my laptop at the house. Let's see. Anybody else we need to remember?
Joe's dispatcher's family spent holidays together. 5 of them came up with corona.
Yeah.
And then Joe's sister's sons came from Delaware. One tested positive, so that put the old people at risk now. So everybody, please be careful. It's starting to get way too close.
Well, I think all holidays got everybody.
Nobody listened to what they told them.
No. And we're paying the price now. All of us are going to be paying that price too, I think.
I have a person I'd like to remember prayers in. I had mentioned her before with her heart. She had to go back to Emory New Year's Eve, and it's not looking good at all. She's got 3 old kids.
Anybody else?
Robin's friend, dad, he's at St. Joe.
I don't know which hospital.
Don't know what
He has
hospital.
cancer in the throat, and he already
He
died
has
twice,
cancer.
and they brought him back, and he is struggling to live right.
He's been in there since Christmas.
My best friend from childhood, her brother, has gone into the hospital, I think yesterday, with lots of complications and COVID. They didn't say he had been tested, but I think they eventually did, I'm just not sure, but he had a lot of complications. And young, or. How's Maria doing?
Mom, getting better a little bit each day.
She texted me she got there, and that was all I got. Or sent pictures, but we don't have any pictures in here.
She pretty much hasn't done anything on WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's what I did. In fact, before she left, she made me download it. So call her since she had my number.
Just message her on WhatsApp,
Send me pictures. I'd love to see India. I've never been. Hopefully get to go one day. All right, is there anything else? We've really got nothing else coming up except for the end of the month. All right, today is the first Sunday of the month, and this won't be long, I promise. We had, the last time we met together was on December the 13th. I read the minutes, they were motion and seconded. Treasurer's report for the November, beginning balance of $3,734.96, contributions of $7,076.95, expenditures of $6,632, fixed assets of $632.79, leaving closing balance not, well, that's wrong. Closing balance in November of $5,079.12. That was moved and seconded. We talked about reinstalling the solar panels, which we haven't done yet. Lighting in the auditorium, replacing fixtures in the rest of the building was discussed as well. New Year's Eve, which was great, by the way, and I don't think I've ever seen fireworks. We had a few, but they were everywhere, all night long. Huge, big ones. Yellow Bell went nuts with 2021. I guess everybody's happy it's 2020 gone. Let's see, and then we adjourned. So, take a motion to accept the minutes. Okay. And let's see, I need a second. Somebody say it, so we
I'll
know.
second it.
Okay. Who did?
I'll second.
Okay, happy wait, 'cause I made you make the motion. Okay, all right, treasurer's report. Kim gave me two of them.
One's for the year. and
Oh.
one's for December.
Okay, I got you. All right. That's the year. All right, here's the monthly one. All right. Have a beginning balance, and just like I told you, was the ending balance of $5,079.12. And we had $8,110 in deposits and 33 cents. Let's see, expenditures of, we spent one, we got again, $8,664.28, leaving an ending balance of $4,525.17. Now, those expenses were insurance, oh, wow, that was it. $1,462.50. P.O. box rental was $56, copier $52.39. Electricity for both places, $289.68. You paid me $354, paid bookkeeping for $150. Let's see. That's Tom at Bastiana, Paris, Africa. November copier, 6703, phone, 22416. Agape, 100, Raintree, 100, Mount Dora, 100. January electric bill, $355.68. Gas bill was $98.84. And that's basically it. Oh, in India, $100. Check it, we haven't got other cans, $100. All right. I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Yes or no?
Yes,
Thank you, Barry.
thank you.
And second,
Sean, did you say second?
Shane.
Shane, sorry, Shane.
You want a second, Shane? Gotcha. Are you paying attention to the second? That's how most days go. All right, so far as the yearly, we began with, let's see,
It's just break down how much we brought in, how much we paid out is really,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Paid out more.
I got it. Well, not that much more. The church contribution here, just the number on the board, the number comes collectively, was $33,826.91.
that's with the roof fund, the roof
all the money we got from everybody for the roof was in that.
Still counts.
I know, but
What came in from Paris sounds like a lot, but it really wasn't enough. $56,023 that's coming in from all over the country. For Africa, 16,305. That's not near enough. The total came in through this year was $106,154.91. Electricity, we paid $4,303.16. The phone with the internet and everything that we've got, $2,627.29. Gas, we have paid, well, that's not bad, $297.86 all year. Copier was $4,494.92. Insurance, $2,925. Bookkeeping, $1,800. You paid me $4,248. Post office, $56. Sam's due?
their dues.
Oh, the dues, yeah, $45. That came a card, me a card, I think. India, we sent $380 to. Raintree, we only sent 100 to.
We're just getting back on that because we just got through the.
Okay, Agape, Mount Dora, 100 each. Flowers, 139.70. The lights in the building that we've done so far, $691.50. Septic tank repair, $343.43. The roof was $9,900. Supplies, cleaning supplies and such, $646.04. And we've already told you, we sent $56,023 to Paris, which is money that doesn't actually come through our collection plate, it just comes in the mail. And it's actually more than that because some churches make it out to Roland and it doesn't appear here. I just put it in the account. Africa, $17,725. Total expenditures was $106,945. Believe it or not, total deposits were $106,154.91. So that leaves a difference of, from the beginning of the year till now, a difference of only $790.99.
So we're in the negative on that.
We're a little bit in the negative for the year, but not that much. Which means what? Which means that we are actually doing what we're supposed to be. We're not sitting on money, we're putting it into work.
I know when you hear the ending balance, it's not like we have all this money. I mean, I know it looks that way, but bills are coming due as that balance is there and it gets sucked right back out. So we did have some nice donations at the end of the year. That's going to help a lot. But, you know, we're trying to get back to what we were doing before the roof fiasco thing.
All right, I need a motion to accept the yearly financial statement. Anybody? Wade, second, and Sawberry. All right. As far as the lights are concerned, we're still working on that. We've got to do the foyer, classrooms, and the social hall.
Social hall probably needs it first.
Probably needs to be first. I might have to have help on that, 'cause that seat rocket, not this kind of stuff I just flip them to, so. Let's see.
Me and Joe, during the New Year's get together, we came in here and was really looking at the ceiling. We're trying to decide, should it be painted or would it be better to replace them? Because some of them are really horribly discolored and water damage. And there was a mark back here on this wall I never even knew there because the lights are so bright now. I find out all kind of places where it leaked that we didn't know. So we need to paint in here, try to do something with the ceiling, but, you know.
There are a few of those tiles out in the shed, but not enough to replace them all.
I
Yeah.
don't
There
really
might-
know if paint would have covered that or not, it was bleeding back through.
Would have killed if you did it with kills.
You know, I've used kills before, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
That stuff
Like
is
that right
awfully,
there, it probably wouldn't, right there, it probably would.
that stuff is awfully porous, those things.
Are these pre-cut to fit in these racks or would,
Yeah, they're all standard.
oh, okay, so that answers that.
I mean, my thing has always been that this would be too expensive, so I can't do it. Take all this out and use the cherry plywood that's on the top, which is much more
It
pretty.
was a whole lot prettier.
It's a lot prettier, but we cut holes in it and every leak that's come through has come through it too, so we had to replace that. And plus, there's no ceiling above where that is. Shame.
I'll make a suggestion to just replace the ones that were the worst and paint them all.
Yeah,
That would probably be the best way. Which would be a work day. In fact, that would be several work days.
And it'd be a couple of work days.
But you would not believe that when this was a grocery store, there is a beautiful cherry plywood ceiling on
Way
top
up
of here. That would improve our singing so many percent. I mean, it would, and it's absolutely gorgeous, but
Careful, Julian, I be by haunt it, get that ceiling
there's
out.
no way to do it
I'm the
anymore.
song leader.
It's damaged, and there's so many holes in it from wires and stuff like that. I don't think you can do it. But what needs to be done is, I've noticed this in hanging lights and also from hanging them before, when I was hanging them before, back there and right here, those are falling off. You need to go in there and pull the wires, suspension wires back up.
I see where it kind of rolls.
There's a few places in here that the suspension wires have either broken or come out from loose of the plywood ceiling that we have nailed steeples in to hold that up there. It's gonna be a mess to restore it, so there's no way to do it, but, but I think painting the whole thing and just replacing the ones that are bad.
So if you see anything that needs to be fixed, let us know and we'll try to add it to our list.
See anything needs to be fixed, go ahead and do it.
If you can,
Solar panels.
that's gonna be
That's
a
gonna
lot
have
of
to help.
physical work, you know,
And we need to have work day for that.
yes.
So,
You have to have people show up for work day for that.
We need bodies,
that's just gonna be you and me, so, and probably Charles.
bodies.
If we can,
We
get
need
other people to
bodies
show,
do that.
but we need to put those back up. We're losing money every day on that. All right, this is not our, I know we had the annual thing, but, this is not, the annual meeting that happens in May.
This is Kim trying to get everything.
And
Yeah,
somebody's gonna get drafted to be a trustee. Mike and Paul are not here.
I know, they all got back yesterday, even the boys, but mom's just really tired today.
Yeah.
They didn't get back till like 11 last night. I've been back since Monday.
I come in and see you on New Year's.
I went,
Spend it with her sister.
and she's my best friend, but she
Pay
doesn't
attention to
sister with her.
I don't remember the face.
You don't have to,
So I wasn't alone.
that's good. Did y'all have fun?
They had lots of fun. They want to go back. They want to move up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they tell me. They want to move to Kentucky.
You don't wanna know.
No.
No, not permanently. It's
Been there, done that.
I've been there, done that. I hate the
It's
cold.
beautiful,
Yeah.
but I hope it's not Kentucky. The people are sort of,
Mhm. All my family's from there, so
so you know,
some of them are, you know.
well, I mean, the people you meet are sort of, especially up in the Appalachians where I live, up in the deep
In the mountains.
backwater hollers.
That's where my dad's side family's from. My biology.
I got a family in West Virginia.
That's
Same
even
place.
worse.
My
Same
mom
place.
wants to move there. She went to West Virginia last year on vacation and she fell in love with it. She wants to move there.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's the prettiest place I've ever seen. Folks, we've gone over. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Barry was quick on that one.
Shane
Second.
seconded it.
Did you? Okay. We're done. See you tonight at 5.
Thank y'all.
Who gets this?
But, yeah. Y'all be careful.
I'm gonna give you a shit, get back on the highway.
Really, when you got time, to make time to have to.
Do you want me to, or?
If you get someone else. to do it,
other one. Jay, would you make these 2 deposits? Did you make these 2 deposits? The Africa and,
No.
can you make these? I mean, you can't go to the bank.
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get a, well, I got a card.
Yeah.
I can do it tonight.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be able to get by there.
Okay.
I signed the back of them, and they'll.
Okay.
Yeah, because see right back here on that wall, see that line going down the wall? It's about that wide, and it's a leak that was there. I never seen it because we didn't have any light in here. Now we got light, now I'm finding all kind of stuff.
All right, do we have an opening balance? I really don't care if we do or not, but, for the yearly thing, I don't think.
No.
Okay, don't worry about that.
No,
Georgia.
Wow, thank you. Oh, hot fries.
Couple things.
You've become my best friend just now.
how you doing?
Did you all
Are you
right?
staying busy while her gone?
Yeah,
How long does she think she's gonna have to stay?
she will be back, I think she's saying about sometime around the end of January.
And you thinking it's too long.
That's not too far away.
Man, I'll be here before you know it.
I know they have all them guidelines that you have to do before you come and go, and we have some friends that was going back to the UK, and they didn't have the proper test to get on the flight, they had to cancel, go back, get the test done, and then go again. So
Well,
it's,
apparently it's not the flights, it's the country that you're going to.
oh, okay, so
It's
they
no
have the
restriction.
guidelines, okay. So I know the UK's pretty tight right now.
Where's she gotta go through? She told me Mumbai.
Yeah,
Where's that at?
India.
She's got a flight from Atlanta to Mumbai.
No, she had to go from Savannah to Jersey to Newark,
Uh-huh.
and then from there to Mumbai.
How long the flight is that?
Well, she left about 1 o'clock or so Monday afternoon when I dropped her off at the airport and waited for her to get on the flight. And then she got there the next day about 2 or 3. So with layover,
Yeah.
it's usually about 24 to 27 hours, depending on which direction you gotta go.
That's too much flight on a flight.
That's a long flight.
It's a long time to be on a plane.
Anytime you go across either ocean, you're looking at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless
but
you
she
go
only
to-
had one, stopover, that was it?
I think so. This time she only
That
had
ain't
one.
too bad.
But we went year before last, or in 2018. I think we had 2 before we got to India.
I only flew from Savannah to Atlanta, which was you shut your eyes, you were there. And then from Atlanta to Maryland, which wasn't that bad either, but that's the only flying experience I had. And I didn't like that too good either. I was like,
I would much rather fly than drive.
I had Aaron, he was a infant, only 9 weeks old, so he kept me preoccupied, but I still didn't like it. Nobody wanted to sit by me because I had a baby. They were
Oh, that would be great. Actually,
like, get away from me.
that's the problem with flying. You gotta sit beside somebody.
Yeah, they didn't want to sit by me, they really didn't.
Can you blame them? Have you ever sat beside a baby on a,
I held the baby.
I mean, have you ever sat beside one? I mean, it's not your baby.
Yeah,
Just jump it.
We sat beside one all the way to
That's good
Germany.
to see you. Tell her hello.
was it crying?
Yeah.
Oh,
And he got upset that mommy had to go to the bathroom. He woke up.
Yeah, those transatlantic and Pacific flights, you got
Takes
a lot of
forever.
hours stuck in a cabin with a little kid, several babies in some cases, all going off.
say, do they have a